Do you need to have masks, and we have to do the social distancing today in here?
Gosh, guys, we're totally.
You have a mask?
No.
Oh, yeah, I can't do that.
Let me check with the county manager and the meetings.
Wow.
Constitutional. Oops. I just keep flipping. Interesting.
You know what this is from, don't you?
No.
Come on, Roger. You're smarter.
There's a lot. I'm tired.
It's not gonna suit again. That's why it's not gonna have any.
Oh, interesting.
Sure it is. That's why they canceled all the trials and jury. This.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It will be recorded, so.
You guys will be able to view it if you come around into the office over here. We'll have this access television here set up.
Awesome. Thank you.
Again, folks, if you're not going to wear a mask, you're going to have to be out in the other room.
I think I'll be okay right here. Thank you.
I've been told that you have to be out of this room if you're not going to wear a mask.
If there's a law that you guys can show me, then I'll comply, but I'm not gonna be segregated.
It's just on the other side of that wall.
It's okay, I'm okay right here.
Actually, that's not going to happen. We're doing this for the sake of you having it out right here. We're trying to protect our staff.
Ronnie Maez walked in without a mask.
I saw that.
So if you're trying to protect your staff, and you're all wearing masks and we're social distance out here, how am I a threat to the public health?
We're trying to do what's right here, sir.
I'm trying to do what's right as
Same.
well, sir.
And I appreciate that. That's your choice.
No, it's not my choice, it's my constitutionally guaranteed right.
Well, I'm not going to argue the constitutionality of wearing a mask or not wearing a mask.
Okay. If you guys can show me a law, I'd be more than happy to comply with that law.
It can simply be a policy. It does not have to be a law.
Policy in a public place. Yes. Interesting.
Is this a closed meeting today?
It's supposed to be a no comment meeting today, yes.
But is it
The one
closed
this
to,
morning was closed as well.
is it closed to the public though for viewing?
It's supposed to be virtual.
Well, no, that's not what I'm asking. Is it a public meeting or is it like a closed work session or?
Yes, this is a public meeting
Okay,
that is supposed to be virtual.
that's all I need to.
Zoom.
Start with number one.
Is the Zoom on?
Are you covering the meeting today? What was that? Are you covering it today, the meeting? Wait, you're not the son, are you?
No.
Oh.
Oh, is that?
It's hard to tell.
Is this for the sun or?
No, you're fine.
You're
Oh,
fine.
okay.
I forgot to sign the comment sheet.
I apologize for the late start. Gentlemen, we're on.
I would like to comment, yes.
So, good afternoon.
Wait,
Sorry.
he was mentioning he forgot to sign the comment sheet.
It's 1:32. Apologize for the delay. The technical difficulties. The Board of County Commissioners are holding a regular meeting via Zoom on January 4th, 2022 with County Commissioners Alvin Schaaf, remote by Zoom, Ronnie Maez, County Manager Derek Woodman, County Attorney Todd Weaver by Zoom, and County Clerk and Recorder Christy Archuleta are present. I call the meeting to order again at 1:33. If you have cell phones, if you would make sure that they're on silence, please. And if you'd join me in pledge of allegiance and a moment of silence.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Do you have any disclosures and conflicts of interest today? I have none. Okay, thank you. And do I hear approval or adjustment to the agenda?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Here a second? Hearing a motion in a second, all in favor? Aye. Carries. Want to go to public from the floor? Looks like we have one request of Jimmy Jones. Mr. Jones, you have 3 minutes.
Jimmy Jones, P.O. Box 3595, Pagosa Springs. I did not prepare the comments, so forgive me. I've become aware of a federal civil suit that's been filed against multiple members, public servants of the county, considering the constitutional reaffirmation or whatever it was we voted on, you guys voted on and approved however many months ago. And I'm not asking you to answer it right now, but I would like to know what this board is going to do about the allegations in that suit. Are we just gonna try and sweep that under the rug? Or are we gonna actually address the corruption that's happening in this county? Thank you.
Thank you. Having no more public comment, we'll move forward.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Today on the consent agenda, item A is the payable warrants and purchase cards for December 22, 2021 through January 4, 2022. Item B, consideration and approval of resolution 2022-1, establishing a location for the posting of official county notices, setting meeting dates for the 2022 calendar year, and establishing days and office hours for county offices to transact county business for fiscal year 2022. Item C, consideration of the appointment of a budget officer for fiscal year 2022. Item D, consideration of resolution 2022-2 to consolidate 2 lots into 1 lot in Ridgeview subdivision owned by OGI Real Estate Holdings LLC. Item E, consideration of resolution 2022-3 to consolidate 2 lots into 1 lot in Lake Asher Park, owned by Thomas E. and Judith T. Brennan. Item F, consideration of resolution 2022-4 to unconsolidate 1 lot into 2 lots in Block 5 of Lake Pagosa Park, owned by Gregory L. and Joni L. Landry. That is your consent agenda today.
Commissioners, any comments?
I have none.
Hearing no comments, I would take a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Is there a second? Hearing a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Pass. Unanimous. Moving on to old business. Mr. Woodman.
Item A, consideration and approval of animal shelter management and services agreement with the Humane Society of Pagosa Springs. As you know, today at the work session, we had discussion regarding an amended agreement between Archuleta County and the Archuleta County Humane Society, or the Humane Society of Pagosa Springs. That the original proposal was an increase of $12,000. There was some associated increase in costs for impoundment fees and daily housing fees for the animals. That was the housing fees and the daily impound fee were approved. The increase in the $50,000 was held at $50,000 and the increase was not approved. There was a negotiation that went through. There's an amended version that comes through, and the impoundment fees and the housing fees remain the same as were approved earlier last year. And however, it went to a 5-year agreement with an increase of $7,500 for the first year for 2022, and then a 15% compounded increase each year through those 5 years. So at the end of 5 years, there's certainly an excess of $100,000.
So if you give us your name and address, please.
My name is Robson Reyes. I'm the executive director of the Community Society. Our address is, for the shelter is 465 Coleman Boulevard in Rose Springs, here in Archuleta County. I have numbers for pretty much everything that came in last year through our shelter, all the animals between the dogs and the cats, and I want to pass these out to you guys.
Sure.
Yeah, I think we asked for that this morning.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
So these are all the animals that came in. It's broken down into dogs and cats. I also looked at how many animals animal control officers brought the last 4 years, including 2021. In 2018, animal control officers brought 155 dogs that they picked up. And in 2019, they brought 141 dogs. In 2020, it was a slow year. A lot more people were in the house and indoors, so they only brought in 135 dogs. This year, they brought in 175 dogs, animal control officers. So it was a lot more than it's been in the last 4 years. And that was just one of the things I wanted to just mention to you guys. We have had a lot more animals lost and a lot more people surrendering and having stray dogs. So yeah, that was one of the things to consider.
Okay, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay, on top of that $50,000, is the housing, it's included in that, isn't it?
No, that's
It only
just a
comes out
certain.
of the 50,000?
Sorry, what was that?
It only comes out of the 50,000?
The housing.
Yeah, for the taking in of the animal and.
The housing is part of what the owners of the animals pay if they want to reclaim their dog. Most of the time, they don't want to claim their dog again, or they just want animal control officers or citizens of the community to find them, bring them to the shelter, and then for us to find another housing facility or something else more permanent for them. So it's not included in the 50,000. The 50,000 only covers the service that we provide to the county, so that way you guys don't have to build your own shelter to provide that service, according to the state regulations that you guys, yeah. So it's just the service to have that, provide that facility for the county more than anything. It's not, it doesn't cover our expenses of housing or anything of that sort. It's pretty much covering the service that we provide for you guys.
Okay, so like at 175 dogs,
Yeah.
you provide the county a service for $50,000 for those.
So it's just, so the 175 is just animal control officer. It doesn't include what citizens or the community finds as stray dogs. This is just what animal control officers brings. The total of actual animals that came in, or actual dogs that came in lost or stray, was 373.
Grand total for the whole county.
For the whole
I'm
county.
looking at what the county's responsible for.
373.
I'm looking for what Archuleta County Sheriff's Department Animal Control is
Yeah.
what they're responsible for. That's what I'm looking at. So if they brought in 175 dogs,
Yeah,
and the contract we have right now is of $50,000,
yeah.
does that fall within,
It does, but you're also responsible for the stray dogs that people find.
yeah, but,
yeah.
and then they bring them in?
Yes.
They're responsible for the stray dogs that other people find?
Yes.
Interesting.
Mr. Weaver, I think you might be able to help us out with that. Per the old contract, I think that is what it reads, is it not?
I would need to go back and look at the old contract, because I do not recall off the top of my head that it includes citizens drop off of stray animals. That's a question that I don't have right at my fingertips at this moment.
Oh, okay.
So then, out of those stray animals, do you have the data on how many people actually go back in and claim that dog as theirs? Or just got lost?
We haven't gone through the whole statistics yet. I'm working on that, and I was going to send that this week to you guys.
Okay.
So if I can make one comment. So assuming that we're working off of the 175 dog number,
Yeah.
and I'll say it again, I'm a very big supporter of the Humane Society. I think that we need this service, but when I look at what we are obligating the taxpayer for, if my math is correct, at the rate of $50,000 that we have paid for 175 dogs, that's $285.71 per dog.
Yeah.
Is that sound about right?
I believe, I haven't done the calculation,
I won't hold you to it.
Yeah, I will go by your numbers, yeah.
Okay, and if we were to approve the additional $7,500 increase for this year, we would be at a rate of $328.57 per dog, again, assuming the numbers are correct.
Yeah.
Okay. And if I'm looking at the 15%, so this year would be $7,500, and then it would be 15% on the new rate the following year.
Yes.
And an additional 15% on the new rate that following year.
Mhm.
So in a 5-year period, we would be up to almost $100,000
Correct.
of what the county would pay to provide a facility to put the dog in, because we're not responsible for cats.
No, it's just
We
the dogs.
just do the
Yeah.
dogs.
Yeah.
And so that sounds about right, if I'm understanding this correctly.
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you for answering, appreciate it.
So basically what you're saying is it costs $275 to handle one dog. What do you charge the people that come in and claim their dogs?
To claim their dogs, we,
$275?
no, we charge the vaccination, if they need vaccinations, we cover those, we just charge them to cover the fee of what it costs us to buy those vaccinations, so it's either $8 depending on the vaccine, or $12.50 for some of the more costly, vaccinations. We charge them the impound fee and the daily fee depending on how many days they're at the shelter. Most of the time, they usually come within a day, and we don't charge a daily fee because it was only there for an hour or two. So we just charge for the impound fee and vaccinations if we did that. But if they're longer than 1 day, most likely they don't come back to claim their dogs. They kind of just stay with us, and then we're responsible to kind of go through the process of holding them for the state requirement, and then adopt them out.
Okay, so then it really doesn't amount to $275.
It's more than that.
You charge, no, that you charge somebody.
Oh, no, we don't charge 200 and that, it's just not, it's not on the county regulations that we can charge that around. Yeah. We only charge the impound fee, and that's about it.
And I don't want to seem like I'm busting your chops, but I want clarity on this.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you
No, I
know,
completely understand.
the one thing is the average person that goes in and reclaims their dog doesn't pay $275,
No.
but the county does.
Yes.
If I might, I think the difference in my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, Robson, is the dogs that the county sends in there are apt to stay for a longer period of time.
Yes, they have been,
There's a summons usually issued when they come to pick up the dog, because dogs at large get a summons.
yes. If there's a specific,
If not, they come pick the dog.
if there's a specific case going on with with a specific dog, I know in the last one, was the tragedy that's happening in Aspen Springs, and we had to keep the dogs for 2 weeks, until the family of the person finally released them to be adopted, and we adopt them out. Once that the family released them to be adopted, we only charge the adoption fee, we don't charge the 2 weeks that they were there. Because then it becomes our responsibility to just adopt them out and not really to charge the daily fee, to cover the cost of how long they were there. I believe in 2018, there was a case in Aspen Springs where we ended up with 60 dogs, and they were with us for 6 months. And then we were finally able to adopt them out, and all we could charge was the adoption fee, not the 6 months that they were actually at the shelter. And those were part of animal control officers that.
It's part of 50,000.
Yes.
I don't know, I just kind of find it hard to swallow 275, even much less it being going over 15%. Now, the reality of the numbers is the numbers, but I probably would recommend that we bring this up because we'll have to redo the budget. because we're gonna have to. We can't do it in this meeting. We can't approve this in this meeting until we amend the budget.
Correct.
And,
What I would like.
I just feel like the county's being Armstronged over this. I really do.
So it currently costs us to run the shelter over $500,000. That's to have staff, the facility, and all the, everything else that comes with, you know, an overhang of carrying an organization. And this is just the shelter itself. This does not cover the first story or anything of that sort. This is just the shelter. So, you know, the 50% increase we're asking, and yes, it's $50,000, and yes, it's $273, but otherwise it would cost the county to build a shelter, which that will not be cheap, and then to run that shelter every year, and that will be more than $50,000.
And then you're looking at 15% over the next 3 years of increases.
15%, yes.
What do you justify that 15% off of?
So in the early 2010s, the county was actually paying the Humane Society $77,000 a year. And then in 2014, I don't know what happened, it was cut down to $50,000. So in reality, we started with a higher rate of pay, and then for some reason, it was cut down to 50. And I don't know if it was something with the economy, something was happening, and all that, so. And those, in the last 4 or 5 years, we have had our payroll increase of over 40%, and that's just state mandate of minimum wage, and that's just, you know, we're charging 50% increase compared to 40% that we actually end up having to spend on payroll.
Yeah, and I understand the expense of the facility. Believe you me, we've done about 3 of them already. So.
Yeah, sure.
May I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
So you have the cost, the annual cost to run the shelter. What is your annual revenue?
We are a nonprofit, so pretty much every revenue just goes into the next year to keep. Right now, for the entire organization, for this coming budget, we're looking at over $1 million.
$1 million revenue or $1 million to run?
To run it without knowing how much actually we're going to bring in every year.
Well, you should know what you're bringing in every year.
Yes, we do know. We bring pretty much, we just break even pretty much every year. We sometimes make $10,000 extra that just goes into a reserve account for future problems or anything else that comes up. Or for any updates that we need to do at the facility or anything of that sort. So yeah, it's usually between $1,000 up to $50,000 to $100,000. That was 1 year that we actually did pretty well.
Right, you do have a reserve account?
You do, yeah.
Do you happen to know how much that is?
$140,000.
$140,000.
Yes. So that's a rainy fund day.
Yeah, I understand those.
Yeah.
Some of ours are pretty thin.
Yes.
Our funds are.
I would like to share my thought on this. It seems to me that there's a fair amount of discussion that needs to happen between the county and the Humane Society. I personally would have a hard time supporting this contract, but I also realize that we need the services, and I would be more inclined, although I'm not asking for other commissioners' agreement or disagreement, I would be more inclined to go with this year's annual of the proposed rate increase in this contract, and then see if we cannot find something that is, I guess, more workable between the two entities going forward for the next, whether if it's a 4 or 5 year period.
Yeah.
That's something that I think that I think would have a better option of amending the budget to cover, and as opposed to a compound 15% interest over 5 years. I'm not sure the taxpayers are willing to go $100,000 a year, even though this is important. We certainly have to make prioritization in those choices. Those are just my thoughts.
And so that suggestion that they initially brought to us was 62,000 or
62.5.
62.5.
Yeah.
I could swallow that a hell of a lot better than what I could the 15%. The one thing is if it's going to go over the 100,000 mark or that in the future, then maybe this commission or the next commission needs to prioritize the ability of reaching out or looking, or even maybe building their own facility or handling it another way. But if we're gonna do a budget and redo the budget and reapprove it again for this particular item, I would probably be more acceptable with the 62.5.
Any further comment on that, Commissioners?
I have no more further comment.
Chairman Schrock, do you have any comments?
Well, just for your guys' information, I did reach out earlier after our morning meeting and spoke with Rugsby's Rescue House, and as I assume, they're not willing or able to take more than what they already take. I mean, she's limited, like I said, it's just a private deal. She takes 8 animals at the most at a time, and no more than 100 a year. She is licensed with the state, and that's her agreement with them, and she absolutely will not take any dog deemed as vicious. So, you know, I think I'm good with the 62.5 if that, we can work that out with the Humane Society, make that work.
Well, we'll have to re-amend the budget, so,
Oh, I know.
well, I guess, Mr. Chair?
Sure.
I move that we set re-amending the budget for this particular item for our next business meeting.
Be the 18th, is that correct?
Yes. I have a motion to table this motion until we can discuss a budget amendment on January 18th. Do I have a second?
I'll second that, yes, sir.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
One more, sir.
Yes.
At 62.5.
62.5.
I want that to be a letter of record.
All right.
Commissioners, if I may, before you vote on the motion,
Yes.
the budget amendment may require a public hearing, which will require, I believe, proper notice, and I'd have to look at the statute. So we may not be able to do this on the 18th, just for information. It may have to be delayed till February. I just don't have the statute right in front of me to know how long public notice has to be posted for a public hearing. So that's for your information.
Okay. I'll re-amend it until staff provides us the date line to get this re-amended.
Okay, my motion will stand.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Commissioner Schaff, are you still with us?
I did say aye, sorry, sir.
Okay, that's all right. I didn't hear you. Motion carries. Thank you. I look forward
Thank you, guys.
to working this out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to new business.
Commissioners, under new business, was brought for you today, item A, considering an award of low voltage wiring and associated services for the new DHS building. I recommend tabling this until our next meeting, January 18th, for further clarification on the agreement.
Discussion? Thoughts?
Now, if we need more clarification, we shouldn't be making a decision on it. I'd rather have the accurate information. So, I don't know if we need to even move. We'll make a motion to table it. You can just represent this at the next meeting.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Schaff, any comments, sir?
No, sir, I concur.
Okay, thank you. Todd, would you agree with that? We do not need a motion to table number A.
He's thinking.
The discussion was a little tough for me to hear. I mean, it wouldn't hurt to motion to table it, but, you know.
Okay. I move to table the award of the low voltage associated services on staff recommendation.
Second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
On to the next one, Jamie Gone, is that okay? The next item?
Yes, Mary. Yeah, number B.
Yeah, she talked to me about it, tell me a little bit about what this is. This is an application for a special use park permit for
Thank you.
Pagosa Nordic Club's use of Cloman Park for events on January 8th, 9th, 14th, and 22nd, and February 5th and 11th, each for about 3 or 4 hours. They're doing some clinics, they're doing some cross-country training and social events on those days. There's 3 different permits for the 3 different events. The Pagosa Nordic Club has asked for a waiver of the permit fees, which are approximately $100 to $125 a day. Since they provide free community service, they do all the trail, cleaning up, they create the trails, they do all the upkeep of all the trails at Cloman Park, so they're asking for a waiver of the fees for these events.
Absolutely.
Commissioner comments? I'll take a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the special park use permit for Pagosa Nordic Club events in January and February at Coleman Park, and to approve the waiver of park use fees for these events as presented.
Gladly second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Carries. Number C. Mr. Weaver, I think that you have C, if you would, please.
Yes. You're cutting out for me, so I couldn't hear when you moved on to the next item.
My apologies.
So before you this afternoon, Commissioners, it's an intergovernmental agreement with all the counties and actually municipalities in the Southwest region to form a regional council for the opioid funds. So it'll be the Southwest Opioid Response District, or SORD for short. It'll be between Archuleta County, Dolores County, LaPlata County, Montezuma County, San Juan County, and the municipalities in each of those individual counties. So this will form the regional council. And so, as you recall, about 60% of the money going through the opioid settlement to the state will go to regional councils throughout the state to put together regional programs to address opioid addiction and the impacts of opioids on our population. And so this forms a council. It sets forth the voting members, non-voting members, and the duties of the council. And it designates the fiscal agent. So this basically will form the regional council, and puts together the 2-year plan, all in accordance with the intergovernmental agreement that was signed with the state. Be happy to answer any questions you may have and recommend approval as presented.
Commissioners?
I have no question about it. I understand the need and the use of it.
Based upon the, thank you, Commissioner Shaw. Based upon the conversation earlier in the work session, was this the board that we were going to appoint Commissioner Maez to represent the county?
I believe it is.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, this is the regional council that we discussed this morning, and pending at our next meeting on the 18th is when the board will appoint each commissioner and individuals to the various boards and committees, and this will come before the board then for the official appointment of Ronnie Maez, Commissioner Maez, who we discussed this morning.
Thank you for that clarification.
And since this is a vote, or it's probably going to go to a vote, Mr. Weaver, would it be proper for me to abstain from voting?
Well, it'll be, I think the motion will be to approve all the appointments
Okay,
to the various committees and boards. So I don't think, no, you're not gonna, it's not a financial benefit to you, so there is no conflict.
excellent.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the intergovernmental agreement of participating counties related to Southwest Opioid Response District as presented.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passed. Moving on. D, consideration of approval of awarding the engineering on-call service contract. Ms. Van Noy, are you with us?
Me?
Yeah. Yes, you.
Alright, sometimes it's hard to hear. Okay, good afternoon. We had an RFQ for on-call engineering services that was due in December, and we had 6 submittals. There were 3 of us that sat on the panel to review and score the 6 firms that submitted proposals. This is for a 3-year contract that is for on-call services. So basically, we're keeping them in on-call status with a contract for 3 years. And if we have a project or a need for an engineering firm, then we can request from them a scope of work, a cost, and a timeline that's project specific. So it kind of speeds up a little bit of some of the projects that we have. For example, I'm going to I will be doing something like this for like surveying or geotech that, we can have something done a little bit faster than going out for some of these larger RFQs. So basically we had the 6 firms and the top 3 that scored based on their submittals, the cost per hour of engineering fees, and then some of the projects and specialty services that they do. By the way, this isn't project specific. It is things like, do they have a background in landfill? Do they have a background in hydraulic? Do they have a background in just different engineering specialties or engineering services? So anyway, we have the top 3 are Davis Engineering, which is local, SEH Designs, which we have used both in the landfill project and on the bus pre-design, and then Birmingham and Houston, who has worked in the county or with the county on projects as well. So this is a request for getting a contract, 3-year contract with each one of these firms. Each one of these firms.
Okay. Commissioners, questions? Comments?
Comment. I know this is important because we need to act and get roads done. Last year we had an experience where we weren't able to get the geotech report back quick enough so we could get a couple of the other roads that we approved for done. So we had to delay until this next year. I do think it's very important that we're diversifying with the engineering companies too as well.
I would agree with that. Thank you. Commissioner Shaw, comments, questions?
No, sir.
Okay. Hearing no further, I would take a motion.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I move to approve the amendment number 2 to the engineering agreement for professional services and the supplemental letter agreement with Short Elliott Henderson, Inc. as presented.
Commissioner Shaw, I think that you're one ahead. We should be on.
Oh, am I on ahead? You're right, I am. I don't know why I got up there, but
That's all right.
let me take that back. Move to award the on-call engineering services contract to Wilhanna Houston, Short Elliott Henderson Incorporated, and Davis Engineering, and to direct the county attorney to draft and execute the contract as presented.
Second.
I second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
You're welcome, thank you, Laura. Moving on, item E, consideration and approval of amendment to agreement and supplemental letter agreement with Short Elliott Hendrickson. Mr. Archuleta, are you on?
Good afternoon, gentlemen. How are you today?
Very good.
Thank you.
Okay, so back in the beginning of last year, we transferred over from Weaver Boost to SEH to be our solid waste engineering consultant. Today I'm asking you if we can for you to approve and review and approve Amendment 2, which is additional work that the engineering consultant is doing to work on the work plan that was requested by CDPHE for some of the discrepancies found there at our landfill facility. So that things like that included additional responses to CDPHE. We had quite a few conversations back and forth just to get the good guidelines on how they wanted the work plan written and whatnot. And just the work done and needed to be done throughout, that period from when they started, like in conjunction and, just everything else that had been going on at the time. The price for this was an increase of $16,517. I do need to come back to you on a letter date about the actual supplemental letter agreement. A couple documents have come in and one has a different price, so I need to go back and make sure that wasn't a typo. So I'm only asking you to approve the amendment at this time.
Okay, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Sure. Looking at this on the last sentence, cost of the amendment 2 is estimated to be at $16,517, and then it says bringing the total contracted amount to $100,000.
What they're referencing is what Weaver Booz had originally quoted as what they were going to charge us if they were still an engineering consultant.
Okay.
So this additional money is bringing us in line with the $100,000 that we were initially given an estimate for, correct?
Yes.
But Todd, were you able to read that last part there? I just want to make sure that we're not committing ourselves to an amount above that coming in at round, say 92.
So where's the language, Commissioner? No, I haven't had a chance to read it.
Okay, if you look under item B, description of amendment, it's the last sentence after number 13.
The $16,517 is just an addition for the extra work to do the work on the work plan. That was in addition to our initial supplemental letter agreement. We do have on there another supplemental agreement. Like I said, the first document said, and the most recent document said there's a price change, so I don't want to present and ask for approval on that. I need to come back to you at another date because there is that change there. I need to clarify what had happened there. So this amendment is only for the additional $16,005.
Okay.
And that's how I read the language.
That's how you got it, Todd?
Yeah, the cost for amendment 2 is $16,517.
Yeah. And then that the only part I'm kind of hung up on that is the bringing the total contract amount to $100,000. I just go ahead.
So this is an amendment to their current
$100,000 contract.
So their total contract is $100,000. That's exactly what Weaver Consulting Group, not related, of $100,000.
Okay.
So,
okay, that's what I wanted to be clear of. So I just didn't want to be adding another several thousand onto it. So. Okay.
Further discussion? Commissioner Chef?
No, sir.
You entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve amendment number 2 for the engineering agreement for the professional service and supplemental letter agreement with Short Elliott Hendrickson as presented.
You're not approving the supplemental letter. We're gonna have to do that again.
Well, he mentioned the supplemental letter in here too.
We'll just cut it out.
Matt, can
Okay.
you confirm that?
Yes, I do need to cut out the supplemental,
Okay.
agreement part, because again, there is that change in the price that I need to clarify. So I'm only asking for approval for the amendment 2, please.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I move to approve amendment 2 on the engineering agreement as presented by staff.
We have a second?
Second. Yes, sir.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Matt.
it.
Thanks, Matt.
Looks like F is the consideration of approval of a resolution extending the declaration of a local disaster. Mr. Woodman?
Gentlemen, this, as stated, consideration and approval of resolution 2022-5. This would be extending the declaration of local disaster. On December 31st of this year, I signed a local disaster declaration for Archuleta County. This went in place in conjunction with working with Under Sheriff Peru at the Sheriff's Office, and ultimately with the Attorney General's Office. This was on the supply shortage of propane to many of our residents in the county. Thus far, we've been able to get a temporary restraining order issued, signed by Judge Wilson, and allowing us to have the propane tanks that are owned by Bob's LP service, serviced and filled by Ferrogas or any other propane vendor. However, this emergency declaration that I signed was only good for 14 days. And so this is, the resolution would extend that period of time to give us an additional window of opportunity to continue getting that service taken care of.
It looks like the extension is requested to February 2nd.
Correct.
Okay.
Would this affect the TPR signed by Judge Wilson?
No, sir, it just extended.
It'll extend it?
Well,
Will it extend
so
it?
the temporary restraining order that's issued, there's a hearing on January 13th that's going to take place, to show cause hearing with the owner of Bob's LP. And out of that could transition into a permanent restraining order. With this document, it also avails us the opportunity to continue to move forward with the governor's office for potential executive order coming out of the governor's office, vacating the Colorado revised statute for a period of time to allow us to continue the service of those propane tanks.
After last night, it's pretty cool.
It's full.
Commissioner Schroff, comment?
No, I can wait till after.
Okay. Commissioner Maez?
No further comment.
Okay. Hearing no further comment, I'll entertain a motion.
No, Mr. Chair, I move to approve resolution 2022-5 as presented.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Is there any further business? Did I see somebody come in that had filled out a comment on the way in the door?
You can allow it, we normally don't do public comment at the end of the meeting, but it's your call.
I'd entertain it. And I know it's out of the norm, but I just assumed you were running a little late.
I appreciate
Commissioners, this is Matt Archuleta. Can I ask a question?
Yes, go ahead.
So with that last resolution, are we able to, just for my information, are we able to recoup any costs because of how it affected some of our facilities?
I'm not necessarily sure about that, Matt, at this, initially, I wouldn't think so, but we don't know for sure.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I apologize. If you could give us your name and address, please.
No problem. My name is Sarada Leavenworth. I live at 138 Valley View Drive in Bayfield, Colorado.
Go ahead.
And I'm with Access Health System, and I just wanted to introduce myself to our county commissioners and say hello. Simple agenda item. I am our Senior Director of Development with Access Health System, and we have the Archuleta Integrated Healthcare Clinic here right behind the city market. And our county commissioners, Commissioner Maez may remember this, back in 2017 when we built the clinic, our county commissioners had said, hey, dental services for the uninsured and Medicaid patients is a priority in the county. We need to make this happen. So I just wanted to come back to our county commissioners and say we are now providing dental services at the clinic. Took a while, but we're now providing dental services. We got a big grant for all of the dental equipment and chairs and the whole operatories. And then we started pulling a dentist here every 3 weeks. I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a start. And interestingly, one day in, the schedules were full for the coming days. So it's been super busy, super successful so far. And we're looking at how to expand that to additional days. So as you all probably are aware, prior to this, it's been really hard to get dental care available for Medicaid and under or uninsured folks. So that was the good news I wanted to share with the county. And then I'm available as a point of contact for Access. So I'm happy to come and share information with our commissioners about what we're up to. There's been a lot of questions across the state around behavioral health services access. I'm happy to come talk more about that if our commissioners would like. But just in general, wanted to express that we're here for you, and we appreciated the dental push, and it only took us 5 years, so now we'll ramp it up in a lot quicker timeline, hopefully.
Yeah, well, teeth is a very important health issue. A lot of people don't realize how much it affects all the organs of the body. So I'm glad to see it. 5 years, I'm happy.
Yep, we'll make it happen. So thank you all so much. Any other questions?
Leave your information with Mary.
Okay, perfect. I will. Thank you all so
Thanks
much.
so much.
Thank you.
With there being no further business before the board, the meeting is adjourned at 2:23 p.m. Thank you, everybody.